So during the height of the pandemic, I was laid off from my first big boy job, and this was a real kick in the nards. So I had crushed every record for sales that they had set in any other summer. So I'd crushed the record for sales during the summer months for that business that I was selling for. And one day I walk in completely just like any other normal day. I sit down, HR calls me into an office, and they just say, "We're going to have to let you go." And this was a big awakening for me, especially in how the corporate America world actually worked. Nobody gives a shit about you. They only care about the numbers of the business. And you have to know the right people and play politics to ensure your job security. And I struggled to find a job for months. And every time I was rejected from a job, usually the reasons that I would get back from recruiters would be something along the lines of either a lack of experience, another candidate seemed to be a better fit, and you're just not what we're looking for at the time. And my problem is I couldn't quite figure out how some people seem to have such an easy time getting a job that they didn't hate, while I was out here struggling to find something that would at least give me some sort of forward direction in my life. Now, I ended up getting a job through a friend after about 8 months of looking for jobs, and his name is Victor. And I'd worked with him at the place that I'd actually gotten laid off from. And so the job that he ended up helping me get was perfect for me. And I mean, I enjoyed it, and it paid really well. And I was able to meet a ton of new people. And one day I was reflecting on how fortunate I was to have found that job at the time, especially whenever I needed it the most. But I still had this question going on in my mind was, why was it so damn hard to get a job that I didn't fucking hate that nobody else wanted to work? And then the answer just seemed to come from the heavens and kiss me right on the mouth. I did not have a brand. And in today's hyper-connected world, the phrase, "it's not what you know, but who you know," is even more prevalent than it ever was in the past. And I mean, we're in each other's businesses now more than ever, and society only seems to be moving faster in that direction. We're hearing about all these job openings and new opportunities on job sites like LinkedIn, Indeed, wherever you go, but it only takes actually looking at the feeds on those like social media accounts and on review pages to know that people are struggling more than ever to find a job that doesn't suck the life out of them. And that's because the best jobs aren't even posted to the public. They're given to the people who know the right people. You're not a person. You are a brand. And your social media profiles are your public resume. And the connections that you make with people in the DMs are where the new opportunities will be available to you. But in order to get to that point, people online need to know more about you. And since we are more connected than ever, it takes a little bit more than just a resume now to get your foot in the door. People they go to your social media profiles and they want to figure out what vibe you have, and they will base their judgment off of that on whether or not they decide to call you in for an interview. People want to know the person behind the print on the resume. And this is where personal branding comes into play. Now, what the hell even is a personal brand? I've had that question for a long time, didn't even know how the hell to go about it, but I'm starting to slowly put the puzzle pieces together as what it actually is. And this doesn't mean you have an 800,000 follower following on any social media channel. This is just about how well you document yourself online and what you're putting out into the world so people know a little bit about you before they ever even actually talk to you on a video conference or in person. And so you probably get lost amongst all the personal branding advice out there and how to put yourself out there, how to have a good social media profile, all of those things. And so it seems really unclear to you, and I get it because I was there. But it's a lot simpler than what most of these people make it out to be. But I can tell you what it's not. It's not fancy designs. It's not beautifully crafted quotes and platitudes and this like super creative bio that people will lead you to believe. And it's not even colors. It's a lot simpler than that. Your personal brand is your vibe. It's the feeling that people get about you and from you based on what people experience with you and the content and the things that you say online. So a brand is not a product or service or what you think that your brand is. Your brand is what other people say about you. It's what the world says about you. Your true brand is how the world takes what you put out there and how they internalize it. Another simpler way to say this, your brand is your reputation. And so what you think your brand is filtered through your own biases that you have in your mind, which is where a lot of us struggle in order to create a personal brand that gets us more opportunities. Because we have a desire to be seen a certain way, but how do we know how the world will perceive it? And the truth is, we really don't. But you can influence your brand. You just have to understand what gives a brand a certain amount or a certain type of authority. So what is authority? First, let's just look at what are the things that we give authority to. So law enforcement, teachers when we're growing up, bosses at work, managers, whatever. What we give authority to are the things that we put faith in truth towards. So if you think about the brands that you love the most, you know what their vibe is. Therefore, we put faith in those brands and what they stand for because we believe that their values are rooted in the same form of truth and they have delivered on the expectations of that truth for you over and over and over. So in order to have a strong brand, you have to become an authority and know what you are giving your authority to. So this doesn't mean you have to be an expert in a particular domain. You just have to be an expert at your own life, your own thoughts, and your own experiences. And nobody else is an expert at that other than you, as well as the things of what you are doing to improve your life and what you are figuring out along the way. People buy the story of that. They don't buy what you tell them to do. So in order to become this authority in whatever space you're trying to be an authority in, you have to take inventory of what you are actually giving authority to in your life. And the reason that you have to take some form of inventory in this is what you are choosing to give authority to is what you act in alignment towards. And it's what you see as valuable and what the world actually needs. It is your truth, for lack of a better way of saying it. So you will attract those people based on the alignment and the values that you have. For instance, Coca-Cola's brand authority is that you know what you are going to get with them. You're going to get a nostalgic soda with a specific taste that delivers on that thing time and time again. We always associate Coke with things like Christmas and good times, and they've done a good job of keeping that brand over decades. So you put your faith in Coca-Cola to keep the exact same formula for their drinks and for you to have the same drinking experience every single time. And so now that we understand authority, how can we use this understanding to develop our own personal brand? So first, you have to give authority to yourself. So trust in yourself to find the truth and what you will choose to put your own faith in and what you will deem to be true. So 99% of society wants us to just blindly trust what these celebrities and news outlets and influencers have to say. Most people want to be told what to think and what to do because thinking for yourself and creating your own values is a very difficult thing, and it takes a very long time to do. Arguably decades, and you will probably never truly reach the level that you actually want to. But it's super rare to find people that are willing to seek the truth and find it out for themselves and question everything. But this is why certain brands are more prominent than others. The biggest brands have conviction in themselves and what they believe, and that is what sells. I've been in sales for 7 years. Your belief in the product is going to sell more than if you say the right thing, but you don't believe in the prospect, because that vibe comes off. People can feel when those things happen. And you don't develop any sense of conviction unless you give authority back to yourself for you to figure all of this out and for you to figure you out and what your unique challenges and successes are. But once you do decide to give more authority to yourself for you to uncover what you want out of life and what you want to be in the world, you'll slowly start finding the things that light you up. And then you'll find those things that you want to create or do or experience just for the hell of it. And that's where, in my opinion, those are the people you connect with. And those are also the people that get the most opportunities, because the world is craving originality. The world is craving people to have their own unique view of everything. And they want to see it, but people they can't verbalize it. So what we need more of is more people believing in themselves and that they can do the things that they say, at least, that they want to do. And once you get to that point, you have to develop an understanding of the character traits that you want people to associate with you so that your brand becomes that, which is the next part, is what character traits do you want to develop, and what character traits would you need to develop for people to see your brand in that way? And so write a list of the main things that you value in life, whether it's, creativity, freedom, originality. I guess that's kind of creativity, but you get the point. Just, you can go to ChatGPT and look up, hey, give me a list of values, go through them, see which ones resonate. Usually there's going to be a handful that hit a little bit harder than others. Take those and run with it. And then after that, you want to start connecting with people. So the internet has made networking far more accessible than it ever has been. You can reach out to multi-millionaires on a whim. Now, whether they respond to you or not, it's probably a lot of it going to be dependent on what the brand that you've built. But you have to get intentional about meeting more people, whether it's in person or online, it doesn't matter. I recently had an experience where I joined this cohort of other content creators and stuff just to kind of see what was out there. And I knew that the guy that was running it had a really good network. And we were chatting, and I was talking about, what I'm kind of trying to do long-term and what I need to get away from in the short term so that I open up more time to be able to what I want to do in the long term. And all he did was just point me in one direction, like, hey, talk to this guy. So I talk to this other guy on a call. And we chat for a little bit. And then he sends me to another guy. That guy ends up sending me to 3 other people. And all of a sudden, everything that I thought I was going to do has completely shifted to a completely other route that I didn't even know existed until this point. And obviously nothing has came from it yet, but it's the idea of having more possibilities come in that actually gives me more energy and gives me more hope that, hey, some of these things could play out down the road. But what I've noticed is your personal brand amplifies as you meet and connect with other people, because people start getting a vibe and you start getting a vibe for them, and you start figuring out what people you actually want to associate with, what people you want to, impress with your brand. And people are going to give you feedback. At least the people worth talking to are probably going to give you some constructive feedback. And it's going to help a ton, because they're going to tell you either A, hey, I fuck with it, I like the vibe, it's working, just keep doing it. Or B, hey man, you sound kind of like a robot. Let's fix things a little bit. Let's get a little bit more original. Come up, start firing from the hip. One of the best pieces of advice that I got from the guy that's running the cohort I'm in is, dude, stop consuming content. Stop trying to think of everything that you need to create, and just start firing from the hip and seeing what's resonating with people and also what resonates with you. And that is the moment that I started gaining more progress, at least in terms of who my connections were on Twitter and kind of how I'm getting better on camera and what I'm doing here. But talking with all of these people and having these experiences with people so far and just connecting with others, it's made me realize that just because you feel like a black sheep in your current social circle and the people you're surrounded with, it doesn't mean that there aren't people that exist out there with the same interests and the same vibe as you and the same values. And I'm telling you, there are way more than you actually think. but you just have to put yourself out there and get over the thought of being judged by the people that you've known your entire life. And that has been the biggest unlock for me and my confidence and my hope for the future. But at the same time, you have to be able to attract those people into your circle. And in order to do that, we move to the next step, which is produce content of some kind and put it onto the internet. So your social media profile acts as your public resume. This profile, your profile, is the first hello to strangers. And when we meet someone in person, we usually make a judgment on them within the first 10 seconds on whether we're going to vibe with this person or not. And these judgments are automatic because it's just based on what we see. Now that your profiles work in the same way, they offer some form of like status to them. And it doesn't have to be this super artsy thing, but people are going to go through and see like, okay, what's this person about? He's dating somebody. He's not, is he kind of serious about his life? Does he, have a good image? So usually what happens is we go to the profile, right? We look at profile picture, we scan the bio, and we look at a few posts just to see kind of how we feel about the person. And one of the biggest issues that I see now is a lack of content that shows anything about who you are and what you believe in, right? And so all that this comes down to is sharing personal stories, opinions, and things that you're working on, relevance. So how much does that person connect with the things that you talk about? And then recency, like have you even posted anything within the last 30 days? I don't think you have to post every day for months on end. I just think you have to have something somewhat consistently to show people like, hey, I'm still active on here. I'm still doing things. This is what I'm working on. This is what I believe in. And so if you want to start to live a non-traditional life from what's always been put onto you by the rest of society and what you've assumed that life was supposed to be, you just have to start looking inside of you and putting the things that are in your mind out into the world, because you're going to be shocked at how many other people actually share the exact same perspective that you do. And this is just going to reinforce you wanting to continue to do it and wanting to continue to connect with other people. And so what this will do is people will just automatically trust you more. From the other side of the planet, automatically, they trust you a little bit more. And it's just like making friends. When you go out to a party in a new place with people that you've never met, if you just sit in the corner, you're not going to make any friends. You have to put yourself out there a little bit. And this is coming from an introvert. I love nothing more than going to parties and just chilling on the couch, but that's not how you're going to meet new people. And so you have to do enough to at least intrigue people. So what type of content do you create? It's a hell of a lot easier than you think. Like I already said, thoughts and perspectives, your accomplishments, goals, what you can't not think about, the things that are always stirring in your mind, and what are you currently working on? What are you currently trying to do? And it doesn't have to be on all social media platforms. Just have one where it's the most recent thing and it's the one that you're most active on and post to that. And these are the things that attract people and create a connection between you and a complete stranger. You're leveraging social media as an infinite, hello, this is what I'm about, and it's done 24/7 on autopilot. And I can't say that this is going to solve all of your problems or that it's going to make you a millionaire financially free overnight. But what I can promise is it's going to expose you to more opportunities than you thought were originally out there. And nothing gives you a better sense of hope than finding out what you previously did not already know. There's a lesson in there.